Two babies were born on the same day, in the same maternity ward, minutes apart. Both heard their mother's voice for the first time in the outside world. One baby stilled, turned toward the sound, and settled almost instantly. The other, startled, cried harder, and took nearly 10 minutes to calm down. Same hospital, same voices, completely different reactions. And the reason had nothing to do with what happened in that delivery room. It had already been decided months earlier, in the dark, underwater, long before either baby ever took a breath. This is what researchers call prenatal auditory learning. The idea that your baby isn't hearing your voice for the first time at birth. They're recognizing it. And the amount of recognition depends on something surprisingly ordinary that happened while you were still pregnant. Let's start with the basics, because the timeline matters. Dr. Janet DiPietro at Johns Hopkins has spent decades tracking fetal heart rate and behavior using ultrasound and sound stimuli. Her research shows that a baby's hearing becomes functional around 24 to 26 weeks. And by the third trimester, the fetal nervous system is not just detecting sound. It's responding to it in measurable, patterned ways. That means, for roughly 3 months before birth, your baby is essentially living inside a low, muffled soundscape, where your voice is the loudest, closest, most repeated thing in it. Not because you're trying, just because you exist near your own baby, constantly. This isn't a task you're failing to do. It's already happening every time you talk, laugh, or hum without thinking. Here's where it gets specific. Dr. Barbara Kisilevsky at Queen's University in Canada ran a study where she played recordings of the mother's voice and a stranger's voice to fetuses in the third trimester, while monitoring fetal heart rate. The baby's heart rates changed in distinct, different patterns depending on whose voice they heard. Accelerating for the mother's voice, a pattern consistent with recognition rather than a generic stress response. In plain terms, before birth, your baby's body was already telling the difference between that's her and that's someone else. That's not a bonding technique. That's biology already at work in the background. If you've spent your pregnancy feeling like you should be doing more, playing music, reading aloud on a schedule, take a breath. This part isn't about doing more. It's about noticing what's already true. Now here's the study that really reframes this. Dr. Anthony DeCasper's classic research had pregnant mothers read the same short story, The Cat in the Hat, out loud, twice a day, in the final 6 weeks of pregnancy. After birth, researchers gave the newborns a special pacifier rigged so that sucking in a certain pattern played a recording of their own mother reading that familiar story, while a different pattern played her reading an unfamiliar one. The newborns consistently adjusted their sucking to trigger the familiar story. Days old, and they were already choosing the sound they recognized. That's not memory the way we think of it as adults. It's something more physical, a kind of imprint left by repetition, not intention. And repetition, specifically, is the piece most parents miss. Dr. Peter Hepper at Queen's University Belfast studied babies whose mothers had watched the same television show regularly during pregnancy. The theme, music playing at the same time, day after day. After birth, those babies showed a calming, attentive response specifically to that familiar theme tune, distinct from other music they'd never heard before. It wasn't the complexity of the sound that mattered. It was the sameness. The repetition was the whole mechanism. So if your voice is the loudest, most repeated sound in your baby's world for 3 months before birth, what actually builds that recognition faster and stronger? Here's what this comes down to, in 3 simple moves. First, speak. Don't stay silent. Not a performance, not a script. Just narrate your ordinary life out loud. Okay, we're folding laundry now. This one's your favorite blanket. That's it. The content doesn't matter. The presence of your voice does. Second, repeat one thing on purpose. Pick a single short rhyme, a lullaby, or a phrase you say every night. Something small enough to repeat identically, like, "Good night, we're safe, I'm right here." Say it at the same point every day, ideally before sleep. Repetition is what turns a sound into a recognized pattern, not novelty. Third, let your voice carry emotion, not just words. Talk the way you'd talk to someone you love. Warm, slower, softer. Because tone and rhythm are what a fetus can actually detect clearly, through fluid and tissue, long before words have any meaning. A flat reading and a warm one land differently, even to an unborn baby. 3 moves. Speak often. Repeat one thing. Let warmth carry it. That's the entire mechanism. And you've probably already been doing at least one of these without realizing it counted for anything. Now compare that to what gets marketed to pregnant parents instead. There are belly speakers designed to play Mozart directly against the bump. There are prenatal brain development subscription apps promising curated audio for fetal stimulation. Here's the problem. A speaker can play a sound, but it cannot repeat your specific voice, your specific rhythm, your specific warmth, night after night. In a way, your baby's nervous system is already wired to prioritize above all other sound. An app cannot notice that you're tired and speak more gently anyway. Only a real, present voice can do that. And it was never for sale in the first place. So back to those 2 babies in the delivery room. The one who calmed almost instantly wasn't reacting to a stranger's voice for the first time. She was hearing something she'd already spent months learning to recognize, a rhythm she'd felt through bone and fluid long before she ever heard it through air. That's not a small thing. That's your ordinary voice, doing something the most expensive product in the world cannot replicate. You don't have to wait until your baby is born to start mattering to them. You already do. Right now, in this very ordinary moment, talking to a load of laundry, humming in the car, saying the same soft goodnight. You are already becoming the sound your baby will recognize before they ever see your face. If this changed how you think about your own voice, consider subscribing. We post new research-backed videos like this every week. And if it resonated, tap like. It really helps this reach other parents. See you in the next one. This channel is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical or psychological advice. Always consult a qualified professional regarding your child's development.